Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Practice reading a woman's body language. Now, I've talked about this before publicly. I've talked about this on my Patreon. I'm going to tell you what, this is something I have to hammer in. Because first of all, at best, 10% of communication is 10%. At best. It's really less than that, but I'm just rounding it up. A lot of guys mess up with a woman because they're not reading her body language. Because I'm going to tell you what, she can say whatever, but her body, it's hard for a woman to lie with her body. But see, you get a lot of guys, they'll deal with a woman listening to what she said. Well, she said this, she said this. Okay. And this go beyond like so-called choosing signals. I'm gonna say so-called choosing signals because a lot of times you might have a woman who she's just generally friendly and a guy thinks that's choosing signals. It's like, no, it's not. Like I give you one thing that you have to learn to read. You get a lot of women who will smile at a guy, but they ain't really choosing. I really do think, and I need to do some research into this, but I really do think a lot of women smile as more of a defense mechanism. You just see them, they give you that quick smile. They're not interested. Now, if they give you that lingering smile and lingering look, oh yeah. And indeed, sometimes when I've read and heard from some content creators from some female content creators, they'll say sometimes a woman will like a guy, and they'll look at him, but then look down or look away or something like that. They'll look at him until he's looking back and then look away. Here's the thing. Practice reading the woman's language. Practice reading it. For every woman that you encounter that shows some interest, what is her body language? What is she doing? Because you have to practice it for you. Because what one woman will do for another man, she's not going to do for you. See, that's the important thing. You got to realize, okay, how are these women acting? Like, I'll give you an example. I remember this was back in the day. A friend of mine had set me up. A couple friends of mine had set me up. It was, for those who read the book Nice Guys and Players, Jim. He was dealing with this woman, right? Well, women, but this woman in particular, right? And she had set me up with a friend of hers. And I guess the friend trusted me, had me come over her house. And she was a cutie. She was like Jamaican Chinese. Half Jamaican, half Chinese. Because, they got some Chinese in Jamaica. So, yeah, she was fine, and she was getting ready to do something, and we were talking, but she barely looked at me the whole time. Needless to say, I didn't get with her. Because she barely gave me eye contact or anything. Now, don't somebody get smart and say, well, maybe she was interested. No, she wasn't. We didn't hook up. But pay attention to every single time that you're with a woman. Now, in general, I'm saying in general, when a woman is facing you with her breastises or her vajayjay, she has an interest. But then again, she might not. And I knew this one woman, she could show her interest in a guy, and she used to get some tight hugs, but then she would be like this. See, another thing you have to pay attention to and realize, at the end of the day, I can give you some general stuff, but then you got to really read the individual woman. You got to read the individual woman. Like I said, I knew a woman, she would always have her arms crossed or something talking, but then she got cold very easily. She was keeping warm, but she gave some of the best hugs I've ever given. And that's how she was. That's how she was. You have to really read the woman individual when she's talking to you. Like the best in general is how her body's pointing to you, how she looks at you and everything. And even then, because I'm thinking about a woman and she was Ethiopian. And she could show an interest in somebody, but she wouldn't really look at them well. So it's different women, but what you have to do is figure out how the women are looking at you. How the women are looking at you. Think about all the women that you have had some sexual contact with. How about that? Not the first, think about the women you had some sexual contact with. Everything from a deep tongue kiss, which is very intimate for a woman. That's another video. But deep tongue kiss, really had sex with you. Think about it. What was their body language around you? But then think about the women who rejected you, didn't want to do anything to you. And every rejection. Think about the women you might have went out on a date with and everything was going good, but then it wasn't going well. It wasn't going well. You said something, all of a sudden they might have been laughing and everything at the table with you. Y'all went out to eat or something, but then all of a sudden you might have said something. It could have been anything, and she's turned off, and her voice tone is changed. Or something I talked about, I think it was on my Patreon too. Check out my Patreon for some of the deeper stuff, like I said. But in one of my books, I talked about sexual chemistry. I talked about this woman who, I used the example of this woman who wanted a rich man. When she was around a rich man, she would walk in a softer way. That butt be twitching and everything. That butt be twitching, she is more relaxed. But that's when she was around men she thought were rich, because that's what she wanted. But then you had a woman, the same woman, if she was around guys she thought were poor, she'd be more defensive, walking faster. Pay attention to every little thing, because that's something very important as well. That's why I say pay attention how women respond around you. Because when women in general around men they want, they behave in a different way. In fact, I remember one time when I was living back in DC, I got blocked by one woman because we were coming off of a bus. There was one woman I knew, I had already knew. She was walking so slow. I was like, oh, okay, she's ready. But then this other woman came in and swooped in. I was like, man, you blocked me. It's a good thing the other woman, well, she took care of the block in a way. I'd rather get with the first woman, but I was being a hoe then. Anyway, pay attention to it. Practice it. Practice. You got to practice. Because the main thing you're practicing is how they behave around you. Now, if women are constantly defensive, like I was using that rich man, poor man example. If they constantly defensive and don't want to point like their breastises and vajayjay towards you, don't want to look at you, in general, they're not interested. In general. But then you get some other women who doing all that, they real friendly and everything, pay attention. And really pay attention. And then sometimes, like there was one woman I hooked up with. It was in one of the mini gyms that I was a member of. And it was interesting with her because I would go in the gym, she'd never look at me. Until one day she just stared at me. Ended up taking her home and doing the deed and everything. But that was her body language. Practice reading it. Practice it every day. Sit out. When you see couples together, what's their body language? Like one of the things I always watch, if I see a couple, is she walking behind him? She walking in front of him? Are they walking side by side? Are they holding hands? I can tell a lot. Practice. And practice on your own, because at the end of the day, yeah, I gave you a few basics, but those are basics. Practice yourself so that you know. Because then when you talking with a woman, you're not just listening to the words she's saying, but you paying attention to her body language. And it could save you a lot of times. It could save you from getting with that crazy woman I was talking about in the last sit down video, all right? So anyway, that's all I have for right now. And I'll get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.